Now, the second part of this question says, if you have passion in something, let's say teaching, let's say teaching others what you know, but then it's not fetching enough to sustain you. What do you do if you only have to consider one at a time? That is either working for passion or working for money. Okay, this has been one of the things I struggle with. But here's a caveat. So I don't know how best to respond to this question, right? But here's the caveat. The caveat here is that who says what you do for passion would not necessarily bring money? Or in this case, who says teaching would not necessarily bring you the kind of money to sustain you? You know, the emphasis here is that it should be enough to sustain you. And what comes to mind for me is, I think it's Fela Durotoye I was listening to one time in the past, who said it's not really about what you have to offer, it's more about who you're offering it to. So you're teaching, yes, but who's the client, right? There are certain clients who will pay you, for example, speaking in Nigerian terms, will pay you 5,000 naira for each hour you spend teaching them, right? It might not be a lot of money, but you get the idea. And then there are certain clients that they can't pay more than 500 an hour, and then by the time you do the maths, maybe in a month it will turn out to say 30,000 naira, but you get the idea. So it's a matter of who the client is, or who you are offering the teaching or the service to, or in this case, who you are offering your passion to, such that they can afford to pay enough, they can pay the bills, and sustain the kind of life. But one of the things I found out is we don't necessarily have to disjoint the idea of passion and the idea of working, or what we need to do to make money. What I've learned from my, like, I'm still young, from my little years of life, is that if you can develop your skill well enough, right? In my case, the skill set I have is my knowledge, right? I studied, I went through school at different levels, and then I, to a large extent, right? Some of the things I'm trying to say, I'm trying to be very careful how I say them, so as not to project or reflect certain appearances that might not really speak well of me by my own standard. Is, after I do all of this learning and get to this certain point, okay, yeah, you've learned all of these things, you know all of this stuff, and then the question is now become, okay, I did all those things, all this education I did, like, even learn, like, going for further studies. It's not because, oh, I just want to go for further studies because it's fun. It's fun, actually. Of course, trust me, it's not always fun. It's fun, but then it's also because it's one of the things I'm passionate about, right? I said in one other question I responded to that the reason why I do the maths or the education part of the whole thing of my life is because of it's something I'm obsessed about, right? I want to get to the pinnacle of my endeavors. So now the pinnacle for me is what I have pursued to this point, and there's still actually a higher pinnacle I'm still pursuing, which is my passion, right? Now, who can be my potential employer, or if I decide to employ myself, and would provide me the opportunity for working such that the money that will come out will be worth the amount of effort and training I have put in over the years? I think that's the most important question for me, and that's actually much more competitive, right? Some will say, "Oh, you have all this knowledge, you have all this maths. Don't go to teach, don't become a professor, right? What do professors earn?" Well, if it's a professor in MIT or a professor in Stanford, you probably will not ask that question. What do professors earn, right? So that's a different question. So I say, oh, go and work in big tech, the Googles, the Apples, the Amazons of this world, the Metas of this world. I say, okay, yeah, well, I can work for them, right? But then, amongst others who would apply for that same position I'm applying to, how well am I suited for those roles that will pay me those high bucks that the big tech wants me to, okay, those roles that I want to pursue in big tech, right? Those are the kind of questions one would ask. But as I said, we don't have to disjoint the two things, the passion and the working for money. You can always pursue passion, and you can always find the path that you pursue in passion that would give you that financial enumeration. That's a big way of saying that will give you the dough, the money that would be enough to sustain you? I don't know if that answers the question, but then I think I'll leave it at that. It's already more than 4 minutes for each question, but so I'll stop here.